Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
But then they're also going to redistribute the wealth at a local level. They're going to be pushing intolerance in the name of tolerance. They're going to be shutting down cultures in the name of multiculturalism. And they're going to be shutting down national governments in the name of global governance. Look at how this is playing out in Germany, for example. German schools are abolishing a Christian festival to avoid offending Muslim migrants. No, we can't have that culture under multiculturalism. A government's going to build 60 new houses for migrants while poor Germans are evicted. You see how that works? You bring in the refugees as a humanitarian effort, but then you take the people who are already in the country and you make them homeless in the name of compassion for refugees. Because what this is fundamentally about is this is about using the third world and its massive population as leverage against the first world nations who are the only ones who have the ability to stand up to these billionaires and their global governance schemes. So the first world countries need to be taken down. They need to be taken down by mass migration. They need to be taken down by redistribution of wealth at the national level. This other article here that we covered yesterday on the radio, German village of 102 braces for providing 750 people asylum. So they're going to have to, each of those people in that small village of 100 is going to have to provide asylum for 8 people. That's how they are swamping the first world nations. And of course, most in Europe don't understand what's going on. We had this classic story. This should be the metaphor for what's going on in Europe. Migrants sing jihadist songs at a refugee center, and the ignorant German volunteers applaud. Yes, ignorant and brainwashed. But those migrants, as they're coming in, were told that they're refugees from Syria, and we've reported many times how that is simply not the case. They're coming from a large number of areas. They're now disappearing into the woodwork, and that is going to be used as another part of the solution, another part of the global control. This move towards global governance that we're going to see towards the end of this month is just one aspect of it. Of course, we see the open borders are pushing us in that direction. It's about increasing the entitlement state to a point of collapse. That's what Cloward and Piven talked about. But of course, they're also trying to erase national borders. They're trying to remove culture in the name of multiculturalism. That was what we were talking about when we pointed out the German schools abolishing Christian festivals. You've got to get rid of that culture and do it in the name of multiculturalism. We have to be intolerant in the name of tolerance. We have to confiscate wealth so that we can redistribute it and call that compassion. That's the way this is coming at us. But then, of course, there's another aspect of this as well. Not just the redistribution of wealth, not just the changing of authority from national sovereignty to a global sovereignty, but also they are bringing in what could potentially be a literal reign of terror with people that are coming into Europe and elsewhere, into the United States, through these open borders. Just take a look at what's going on, as we were talking about as we went to break. Thousands of Muslim migrants disappearing from camps in Germany and elsewhere, primarily just in Germany. Look at what's happening just in Germany. Of course, that's their destination, because that's where the pot of gold of the entitlement state is being offered to them, there and in Sweden primarily. They say on Wednesday alone, more than 600 people disappeared from their welcoming center. This is reported by Die Welt, one of their larger papers there. They say there's 700 refugees disappeared from Lower Saxony. Altogether, 7,000 have left and are AWOL. Where did they go? Where did my immigrants go? Well, there's a way to find them. We can enact a UN plan. See, problem, solution. Problem, solution. They create the problem. Even this, in this case, it's a real problem, not like global warming. But whatever the problem, they have a global solution to it. Look at this article on Infowars.com. UN plans to implement universal biometric identification for all of humanity by 2030. And again, in this article, Michael Schneider goes back and references the UN Agenda 2030 article that I was reading from, that draft document that was there. Actually, it's not a draft document. They passed that. And he points out, did you know the UN intends to have biometric ID cards in the hands of every single man and woman and child on the entire planet by the year 2030, just 15 years from now? He says, did you know that there's already a central database in Geneva, Switzerland, collecting data from many of these cards? This is part of the 17 new global goals that the UN launched at the end of September, again at that conference that I point out, one of the 3 key conferences this year that they're pointing out. Prince Charles and the Pope and Schellenhuber, their Henry Kissinger, has all pointed out. Goal 16.9 says this is their target. By 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. So your birth will be registered to the UN. It'll be stored in Switzerland, and they will track you from birth. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Oh, there you go. See, that's how they're going to usher it in, through refugees. That's the reason, the rationale that they're going to use to track us all. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees is moving forward with plans to use biometric technology to identify and track refugees, and has selected a vendor for this project, Accenture. This company will collect facial, iris, and fingerprint biometric data. They will then work with Accenture's unique identity service platform to send this information back to a central database in Geneva, Switzerland. And they say they're going to get legal ID into the hands of everyone by the year 2030 with its Identification for Development, ID4D initiative. They've even got a great little acronym there for it. The ID4D initiative was originally launched by the World Bank. Always the usual suspects, right? And they're proud to be working side by side with the UN to get legal identity into the hands of all. Actually, they're going to be putting our identities into their own hands. They say, of course, he points out, this is still Michael Schneider's article. He says, of course, this is all being framed as humanitarianism. It's a venture right now, but will it always stay that way? And what will happen if and when you refuse to take this UN identity card? At that point, you will become an outcast from society, just as we see people in Germany who don't want to give up their culture, their language, their property to people who are being brought in. They are becoming outcasts. They are setting up tools to identify them. That was also done at the UN. The Strong Cities Network is focused not on Islamic jihadis who might be coming in. It is focused on people who react to that, people who are anti-migrant, anti-Islam. Those are the extremists that they're looking for, not those other droids. Those are the ones they're looking for. Just look at this article from the New York Times. FBI tool to identify extremists is criticized. So the FBI has come up with a program. They're going to give this to teachers and students, try to train them to not be drawn into violent extremism. Nevertheless, people are saying, oh, this is just focusing on Islamic extremism. It's Islamophobic, okay? And they say this hasn't been a factor in the epidemic of school shootings and attacks in the United States. There's their pivot. That's where they pivot to us, okay? They say it's misplaced priorities. This is a person who is part of a Sikh organization. He says the greatest threat facing American school children today is gun violence, not Muslim extremism. There you go. That's how they're going to move it to us.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.